An estimated 70,000 people witnessed the miracle of the sun in 1917. Luckily, because of technology, we still have the accounts of doctors, newspapers, and general lay people who witnessed the miracle with their own eyes. Maria de Kupina, one of the earliest believers, she said,
"The sun turned everything to different colors, yellow, blue, and white. Then it shook and trembled. It looked like a wheel of fire that was going to fall on the people. They began to cry out, 'We shall all be killed.' Others called to Our Lady to save them. They recited acts of contrition. One woman began to confess her sins aloud, advertising that she had done this and that. When at last the sun stopped leaping and moving, we all breathed our relief. We were still alive, and the miracle which the children had foretold had been seen by everyone."
Father Ignacio Lorenzo, who was about 11 miles away, said,
"I was only 9 years old at this time, and I went to the local village school. At about midday, we were surprised by the shouts and cries of some men and women. Outside, the people were shouting and weeping and pointing to the sun, ignoring the agitated questions of the schoolmistress. It was the great miracle, which one could see quite distinctly from the top of the hill where my village was situated. I feel incapable of describing what I saw and felt. I looked fixedly at the sun, which seemed pale and did not hurt the eyes. Looking like a ball of snow revolving on itself, it suddenly seemed to come down in a zigzag, menacing the earth. Terrified, I ran and hid myself among the people who were weeping and expecting the end of the world at any moment. Near us was an unbeliever who had spent the morning mocking at the simpletons who had gone off to Fátima just to see an ordinary girl. He now seemed to be paralyzed, his eyes fixed on the sun. Afterwards, he trembled from head to foot and lifting up his arms fell on his knees in the mud, crying out to Our Lady during those long moments of the solar prodigy. Objects around us turned all the colors of the rainbow. We saw ourselves blue, yellow, red, etc. After about 10 minutes, the sun, now dull and pallid, returned to its place. When the people realized that the danger was over, there was an explosion of joy, and everyone joined in thanksgiving and praise to Our Lady.
We also have the account of Dr. Almeida Garrett, a PhD of Cumbria University, who gave us a very academic account of the miracle of the sun.
"I was looking at the place of the apparitions, in a serene, if cold, expectation of something happening, and with diminishing curiosity, because a long time had passed without anything to excite my attention. Then I heard a shout from thousands of voices and saw the multitude suddenly turn its back and shoulders away from the point toward which up to now it had directed its attention, and turn to look at the sky on the opposite side. The sun, a few moments before, had broken through the thick layer of clouds which hid it, and shone clearly and intensely. I veered to the magnet which seemed to be drawing all eyes, and saw it as a disc with a clean-cut rim, luminous and shining, but which did not hurt the eyes. I do not agree with the comparison which I have heard made in Fátima, that of a dull silver disc. It was a clearer, richer, brighter color, having something of the luster of a pearl. It did not in the least resemble the moon on a clear night because one saw it and felt it to be a living body. It looked like a glazed wool made of mother of pearl. It could not be confused, either, with the sun seen through fog, for there was no fog at the time, because it was not opaque, diffused or veiled. In Fátima it gave light and heat and appeared clear-cut with a well-defined rim. It was a remarkable fact that one could fix one's eyes on this brazier of heat and light without any pain in the eyes or blinding of the retina. The phenomenon must have lasted about 10 minutes, then, suddenly, one heard a clamor, a cry of anguish breaking from all the people. The sun, whirling wildly, seemed to loosen itself from the firmament and advance threateningly upon the earth as if to crush us with its huge and fiery weight. The sensation during those moments was terrible. During the solar phenomenon, which I have just described in detail, there were changes of color in the atmosphere. Looking at the sun, I noticed that everything around was becoming darkened. I looked first at the nearest objects and then extended my glance further afield as far as the horizon. I saw everything in amethyst color. Objects around me, the sky and the atmosphere, were of the same color. Fearing that I was suffering from an affection of the retina, an improbable explanation because in that case one could not see things purple-colored, I turned away and shut my eyes, keeping my hands before them to intercept the light. With my back still turned, I opened my eyes and saw that the landscape was the same purple color as before. The impression was not that of an eclipse, and while looking at the sun I noticed that the atmosphere had cleared. Soon after I heard a peasant who was near me shout out in tones of astonishment, "Look, that lady is all yellow." And in fact everything, both near and far, had changed, taking on the color of old yellow mask. People looked as if they were suffering from jaundice, and I recall a sensation of amusement at seeing them look so ugly and unattractive. My own hand was the same color. All the phenomena which I have described were observed by me in a calm and serene state of mind, and without any emotional disturbance.
The newspaper O Século, a pro-government, anti-clerical Lisbon paper, wrote,
From the road, where the vehicles were parked and where hundreds of people who had not dared to brave the mud were congregated, one could see the immense multitude turn toward the sun, which appeared free from clouds and in its zenith. It looked like a plaque of dull silver, and it was possible to look at it without the least discomfort. It might have been an eclipse which was taking place. But at that moment a great shout went up, and one could hear the spectators nearest at hand shouting, "A miracle! A miracle!" Before the astonished eyes of the crowd, whose aspect was biblical as they stood bareheaded, eagerly searching the sky, the sun trembled, made sudden incredible movements outside all cosmic laws. The sun danced according to the typical expression of the people. Standing at the step of an omnibus was an old man. With his face turned to the sun, he recited the credo in a loud voice. I asked who he was and was told Señor João de Cunha Vasconcelos. I saw him afterwards going up to those around him who still had their hats on, and vehemently imploring them to uncover before such an extraordinary demonstration of the existence of God. Identical scenes were repeated elsewhere, and in one place a woman cried out, "How terrible!" There are even men who do not uncover before such a stupendous miracle. People then began to ask each other what they had seen. The great majority admitted to having seen the trembling and the dancing of the sun, others affirmed that they saw the face of the Blessed Virgin, others, again, swore that the sun whirled on itself like a giant Catherine wheel and that it lowered itself to the earth as if to burn it in its rays. Some said they saw it change color successively.
Emmanuel Pereira de Silva, in a letter to a friend, wrote,
We made our arrangements and went in 3 motor cars on the early morning of the 13th. There was a thick mist, and the car which went in front mistook the way so that we were all lost for a time and only arrived at the Covadar area at midday by the sun. It was absolutely full of people, but for my part I felt devoid of any religious feeling. When Lucia called out, "Look at the sun," the whole multitude repeated attention to the sun. It was a day of incessant drizzle, but a few moments before the miracle it stopped raining. I can hardly find words to describe what followed. The sun began to move, and at a certain moment appeared to be detached from the sky and about to hurtle upon us like a wheel of flame. My wife, we had been married only a short time, fainted, and I was too upset to attend to her. And my brother-in-law, João Vassalo, supported her on his arm. I fell on my knees, oblivious of everything, and when I got up I don't know what I said. I think I began to cry out like the others. An old man with a white beard began to attack the atheists aloud and challenged them to say whether or not something supernatural had occurred.
When we get in the cover, I see the soldiers try to stop us to get down in the cover. Everything was wet. It was a good 3 inches of water and mud, everything in the ground. I was, I say, between 7,500 feet from the hill and from the tree.
Around noontime, they saw some change in the atmosphere. They could see that something different was happening. Lucia shouted, "Look at the sky!" And that was when the miracle of the sun began.
It began to whirl.
And the sun started breaking. And then the sun started roll, like dancing from one place to another place. And then we see the sun come towards where's the shield and where's the tree? And we see the sun come right into the tree. And the sun, about a minute or so, and the sun started rolling back again the way he commands.
My God!
Everybody started howling, cry. Some started to confess himself. Even my mother grabbed myself when he squeezed me to her and he started crying. That's the end of the world. The wind started to blow pretty hard, real hard. But the ground was dry just like what this floor is. And then our clothes, we don't feel at all. The clothes dry. And we look out, we was clean, just clean. The clothes come from the laundry. I can get it out of my mind. That was a miracle, a real miracle.
Fomos para a Covadeiria no dia 13 de outubro. Estávamos lá quando apareceu o sol, às voltas, assim, às voltas e descendo, que não representava que o sol vinha cair na terra. Parecia-nos que já vinha mesmo a chegar às árvores.
A chuva parou completamente e daí a momentos olhávamos para o sol com mais facilidade do que se olha para a lua numa noite clara.
A Lúcia disse: olhem para o céu, joelho quem puder, vem São José dar a paz ao mundo.
E o sol começa naquela dança, que eu já sei falar tantas vezes. E chegava, eu vi-o assim. O disco tornou-se bronzeado.
A minha mãe viu este milagre do sol. Oh, filhos, agora não podemos negar. Então daí ficámos a acreditar. A minha mãe não acreditava, mas então ficou a acreditar.
Reservou uma grande surpresa para esta peregrinação aniversária do mês de julho. Numa das nossas visitas em um lar de idosos, encontramos uma senhora muito simpática chamada Romana de Souza Marques, hoje com 101 anos de idade e que esteve presente nos momentos das aparições de Nossa Senhora aos Três Pastorinhos. E ela própria nos relata o fato ocorrido. Dona Romana, a senhora esteve presente em Fátima quando aconteceram as aparições de Nossa Senhora aos Três Pastorinhos?
Eu fui lá com 9 anos, vi os milagres, não tive o poder de ver Nossa Senhora.
Mas viu o milagre do sol?
No sol muito tempo, choveu, fez sol muito, a gente molhou-se, apareceu enxuta sem saber como. Houve muitos milagres que eu tenho isso para contar.
A senhora tinha a idade da Lúcia?
É que diz?
Tinha a idade da Lúcia, 9 anos?
Eu tinha 9 anos, a idade da Lúcia. A mesma idade da Lúcia. Francisca e Jacinta.
Conheceu os pastorinhos?
Conheci-os, já fui à casa deles, estive sentada na arcazinha do enxoval da Lúcia. E na casa deles. Já estive na casa de Francisco e de Jacinta.
Eu quero deixar que o teu plano em mim possa...
Que a Virgem de Fátima, de forma muito especial, possa nos ensinar a sermos homens e mulheres de fé. E que mesmo numa sociedade que nos dita o contrário, possamos, como os três pastorinhos, acreditar sempre em milagres.
Eu quero deixar que o teu plano em mim possa realizar sem limitações. E quero tentar, sem porém saber, ser um pouquinho do que tu és.
Milagre do Sol documentado em jornais da época. O Milagre do Sol foi um evento histórico inquestionável e totalmente documentado. O evento marcante ocorreu no dia 13 de outubro de 1917 para mais de 70 mil pessoas. Há relatos de pessoas que viram o milagre a 50 quilômetros de distância. Leia os relatos encontrados nos jornais da época e o testemunho de pessoas que vivenciaram aquele momento. Relato do jornal O Dia de Lisboa, do dia 17 de outubro de 1917. À 1 da tarde, meio-dia pelo sol, a chuva cessou. O céu, com um cinza perolado, iluminava a vasta paisagem árida com uma luz estranha. O sol tinha um fino véu transparente, de modo que se poderia facilmente fixar os olhos nele. O tom cinza madrepérola transformou-se em uma folha de prata, que se quebrou quando as nuvens se abriram e o sol de prata, cercado na mesma luz cinza transparente, se viu girar e voltear no círculo de nuvens abertas. Um grito saiu de toda a boca e as pessoas caíram de joelhos no solo pantanoso. A luz se tornou um belo azul, como se tivesse vindo através dos vidros fumados das janelas da catedral e se espalhou sobre as pessoas que estavam ajoelhadas com as mãos abertas. O azul se desbotou devagar e, em seguida, a luz parecia passar através de um vidro amarelo. Manchas amarelas caíram sobre os lenços brancos e sobre as saias escuras das mulheres. Também foram vistos nas árvores, as rochas e as montanhas. As pessoas choravam e oravam com as cabeças descobertas na presença do milagre que eles haviam esperado. Relato do jornal O Século de Lisboa, do dia 15 de outubro de 1917. E assiste-se então a um espetáculo único e inacreditável para quem não foi testemunha dele. Do cimo da estrada, onde se aglomeram os carros e se conservam muitas centenas de pessoas, a quem escasseou valor para se meter à terra barrenta, vê-se toda a imensa multidão voltar-se para o sol, que se mostra liberto de nuvens no zênite. O astro lembra uma placa de prata fosca e é possível fitar-lhe o disco sem o mínimo esforço. Não queima, não cega. Dizer-se-ia estar se realizando um eclipse, mas eis que um alarido colossal se levanta, e aos espectadores que se encontraram mais perto se ouve gritar: milagre, milagre, maravilha, maravilha. Aos olhos deslumbrados daquele povo cuja atitude nos transporta aos tempos bíblicos e que, pálido de assombro, com a cabeça descoberta, encara o azul. O sol tremeu. O sol teve nunca vistos movimentos bruscos fora de todas as leis cósmicas. O sol bailou, segundo a típica expressão dos camponeses. Era como um disco de vidro fosco iluminado por detrás e girando sobre si mesmo, dando a impressão que estava caindo sobre nossas cabeças, afirmou o senhor Mário Godinho, que não acreditava nas aparições de Fátima até o dia do milagre. Olhei fixamente para o sol que parecia pálido. Não feria meus olhos, parecendo uma bola de neve. Ele girava sobre si mesmo. De repente, pareceu cair em zigue-zague, afirmou o padre Joaquim Lourenço, que decidiu pelo sacerdócio após a experiência. O sol começou a rodar em círculos de todas as cores. Era como uma roda de fogos de artifício caindo sobre o chão, afirmou a senhora Maria Celeste da Câmara e Vasconcelos, um exemplo de que o milagre impressionou pessoas de todas as classes sociais. Olhei para o sol e vi girando como um disco, rolando sobre si mesmo. Vi as pessoas mudando de cor, tomando as cores do arco-íris, afirmou o senhor Antônio Antunes de Oliveira, que após o milagre passou a visitar mensalmente o vilarejo de Fátima. Presenciei também 4 curas no lugar das aparições, 2 de tuberculose, uma de uma moça de Lisboa e outra de Alfarelos, e 2 aleijadas, afirmou a senhora Maria do Carmo Menezes, que se impressionou com a convicção das crianças sobre a promessa de Nossa Senhora. Fique agora com o relato de uma das testemunhas do milagre do sol ocorrido em Fátima.
Até ali não acreditavam que Nossa Senhora tinha aparecido.
E sua mãe contava o que do milagre?
Então, toda a manhã teve a chover, as pessoas estavam todas molhadas, a terra estava toda molhada, toda cheia de água. E quando a Lúcia disse: fechem os guarda-chuvas que já lá vai Nossa Senhora, o sol apareceu clarinho e ficou tudo enxuto. As pessoas, a terra, ficou tudo enxuto. E o sol parecia que vinha a descer, parecia que vinha a cair na terra. As pessoas todas ajoelharam, pediram perdão ao Nosso Senhor, para que Nosso Senhor trouxe aqui a gente, para morrermos todos. E foi de também que acreditaram, porque até ali não acreditavam. Foi.
E apareceu umas figuras no sol.
O desenhamento dizia que ela não viu. A Sagrada, algumas pessoas diziam que tinham visto a Sagrada Família ir subir e depois que deixavam de ter, não é?
Mas a sua mãe não viu.
Minha mãe disse que não viu. Viu o milagre do sol, via as crianças lá falar com Nossa Senhora, tudo isso, mas Sagrada Família, ela disse que não viu. Agora, havia lá pessoas que não eram crentes e converteram-se. Pensaram mesmo que toda a gente filhou, toda a gente pensava que ia mesmo morrer.
E o sol fez um movimento.
E parecia que vinha mesmo a descer, mesmo a cair na terra. Tiveram medo, pensaram que morriam, se o sol caísse. Pois.
Isso foi em 1917.
Foi em 1917. Quando Nossa Senhora estava a falar com os pastorinhos. Foi nesta aparição.
Como não acreditar, hein?
Louvado seja nosso Senhor Jesus Cristo, para sempre seja louvada e sua Mãe Maria Santíssima.